Hi, I'm Sage. It all started with this absolutely ridiculous tree, a massive world-eating thing that decided to sprout right in the middle of our country. They call it Yggdrasil. Don't ask me who named it, but apparently it thought, yeah, I'm not stopping till I cover the whole planet. And it did. Before anyone could grab a chainsaw, Yggdrasil had grown roots so deep and wide that it literally spawned new worlds. Worlds that looked suspiciously like video games. One of them was called Labyrinth, also known as the Game of the Gods. Yeah, dramatic much? But here's the kicker. Not everyone could play it. Most people were stuck in the real world, doing things like breaking rocks and pretending they weren't jealous. Cut to this dude in an orange jacket, ending another miserable shift at what looks like a construction mine for depressed NPCs. He's just taken off his helmet when an old guy pops up like a side quest NPC and goes, "Hey, kid, great job today. Want to buy something good? Cheap." He flashes a data card like it's some kind of forbidden treasure, claiming it's one of the good ones. But before the grand sales pitch can finish, our boy just bolts. Doesn't even look back. The old man mutters, "That punk thinks he's better than everyone. But really, they're all the same. Forgotten trash at the bottom of a real shiny, fake paradise. For every person bathing in luxury, there are 100 scraping by under it. And right in the middle of this digital dumpster fire, there's a slot machine shop. Yep, the place where dreams go to die." Our protagonist grabs the doorknob, already hearing the chaos inside. People yelling, arguing, begging for refunds like gamblers at 3 a.m. He strolls in, sits down, and greets the good old altar of despair, the random box machine. "Welcome to legal gambling, baby, where fortune's just a click away. Today's prize? A permission to create an account." Sounds lame, right? But here, that's like winning a golden ticket to heaven. For this guy, it might be his only shot at escaping rock-breaking life. The screen flashes. Open 10 boxes. He doesn't even blink. Clicks yes. Hope is a hell of a drug. The first box drops dramatically from the sky and gives him an N-rank toothbrush. An N-rank toothbrush. The man didn't even know N-rank existed. That's like getting an F- in a class that doesn't give grades that low. But he pushes on. Another N-rank. Another. Then an R-rank, which is basically trash with slightly better trash packaging. He's heard whispers of SR and SSR items. Those mythical god-tier pulls people brag about online. But he's been through this grind so many times, he's starting to think they're a myth. He remembers his mom in the hospital and just wants a break. One miracle. Then suddenly, BM, the machine lights up like a galaxy exploded inside it. He freezes. Could it be an SR? Or no way, an SSR? To this day, no one really knows what SSR stands for. Super rare? Super stupidly rare? Doesn't matter. What matters is, it's glowing. He's shaking, laughing, almost crying. I knew it. I knew it was worth not giving up. And there it is, a permission to create an account. That golden ticket means he can finally enter Yggdrasil, a world built from countless games. Create an avatar, explore, earn loot, and best of all, bring that loot back into the real world. Those who manage that become legends, or, well, billionaires. Society now basically runs on this game. The world belongs to the gamers. Guess all those moms yelling, "Stop playing video games," are eating their words now, huh? Who's wasting time now, mom? He's hyped, sprinting out of the store like it's Christmas morning. "This is it. My fresh start," he yells, and then immediately gets smacked in the face with a club. Down he goes. Boom. 1 second he's on top of the world, the next he's kissing asphalt. As consciousness slowly crawls back in, he blinks, dazed and confused, probably thinking the same thing we are. What the hell just happened? The boss looks over and asks, "So, this the guy?" The tattooed one nods. "Yeah, the lucky one." Well, lucky might not be the right word, considering everyone just saw him hit the jackpot. The thug snatches the precious card and hands it to the boss. The boss turns it in his hand, eyes wide, and says he's only ever seen these at those ultra-exclusive, wallet-destroying auctions. But before he can pocket it, our protagonist clings to his pants, desperate, shouting that it's his. He got it fair and square from the machine. But let's be real, this isn't the kind of place where fairness exists. The boss smirks and tells his goons to stomp the kid flat. And they do. Our boy becomes a human omelet. But even while being kicked in the next week, he still grabs the boss's leg, begging for his account back. The boss crouches, grabs him by the hair, and says, "Did you forget what it's like to be a nobody? Anything good that comes out of that shop belongs to us. You want to live here, you pay the tax." Then, pretending to be fair, he places a hand on the kid's forehead. "We always make fair trades." Ding. The system lights up, 30,000 points added. Just enough for one more spin. The boss says, "See, I take your spin, you get one spin back. Fair deal." Then he sends the kid's face back to the pavement. Our guy's tough, but he's still human. This time, he just collapses completely. Rain starts pouring, the thugs laugh, and they leave, talking about grabbing something nice to eat while our boy marinates in the gutter. One of the bald guys stops and tells the boss to look back. The kid's moving. What? He's getting up. They can't believe it. The system starts flashing alerts. Warning. Vital signs dropping. He needs medical attention. Fast. The boss tilts his head, wondering if maybe he accidentally went easy on the kid. It makes no sense. But our boy, he's staggering back toward the betting shop. Yeah, the man just got stomped half to death, and he's going for another spin. People start watching, some calling him insane, others saying that's exactly the kind of madness you need to pull an SSR. The goons stick around to spectate, ready to rob him again if lightning strikes twice. The bald guy asks, what if he dies in there? The boss shrugs. Then we drag him out. Nobody's gonna care about some random trash. Meanwhile, the system is screaming. Vital signs plummeting. Pains fading. Breath shallow. His world's going dark. He can't even hear the crowd anymore. But the man keeps crawling. Drags himself to a machine. Hauls himself up for one last spin. His hand shakes. His finger reaches for the button. The system blares. Critical condition detected. And right before the darkness swallows him, he thinks about it. His whole life. And how it's been nothing but trash. Then something happens. The entire room lights up like a divine fireworks show. The Yggdrasil tree itself appears in the middle of the shop. The boss and his goons are blinded by the glow, unable to comprehend what they're seeing. The protagonist's body begins to glitch, pixel by pixel. The system declares an emergency. Life signs red. Initiating forced conversion to character. A new prompt appears. Choose your character name. Suddenly, everything changes. The boy opens his eyes and finds himself somewhere else entirely. His name appears before him. Rucky. He's confused, dazed, trying to understand what's happening when a message flashes. You have leaked confidential guild information. You are banned. He stares at it, protesting that he'd never do that, but the verdict's final. All ranks removed. Then, from the shadows, two strange, otherworldly figures appear, their voices cold and amused. They welcome him with a grin. Welcome to the life of a nobody. Our guy's panicking, shouting that he didn't do anything. But before he can even finish, a hooded figure steps out from the side and says, it's too late now. Time for 717 to get up. And just like that, he wakes up, except where even is he? The world around him looks like someone turned reality into a computer screensaver. Everything's glitchy, glowing, and digital. He can't tell if he's dead, dreaming, or just trapped in a really expensive VR headset. Then, out of nowhere, a floating metal bracelet appears, talking like it owns the place. It tells him to select a name. Our boy just stares at it and goes, why is a flying vacuum cleaner talking to me? The little robot is offended. Excuse you. I'm Lagan, the system box. Lagan proudly announces that he's the first human ever to get a UR ranked item. The boy's like, UR? What even is that? I thought SSR was the top rank. Lagan explains that UR is on another level entirely, basically ultra rare, so rare the game itself didn't expect it to exist. He tells Rucky that he's standing in the border between reality and the virtual world. Because of how close he was to dying, his body forcefully connected to Yggdrasil, the massive digital world tree. To complete the process, he needs to choose a name and finish the conversion to enter the labyrinth. Our protagonist is still lost, trying to figure out if this is a fever dream or a second chance at life. But hey, opportunity doesn't knock twice. He takes a deep breath and picks the name Ryuki. Immediately, the system locks in his choice and transfers him straight into the game. When he opens his eyes again, he's standing in a place called Phantom, wind in his hair, feet solid on the ground, the kind of hyperrealism no game trailer ever actually delivers. For a moment, he just stands there, stunned. This was it. The world he dreamed of entering his entire life. But of course, the tutorial didn't even last 2 minutes before a group of skeletons show up like they were waiting for him. One lunges at him, and he barely dodges by stepping back. Then more start spawning, and Ryuki's like, why are there so many enemies in the tutorial? At least they're just level 1 skeletons, weak to physical attacks, right? He shouts, open status window, hoping for a menu or something. Lagan immediately shuts him down. Stop asking for dumb stuff. Ryuki groans and asks where his starter gear is. Every new player gets something, right? But nope. Lagan explains that since he owns a UR item, he's outside the system's rules. No skills, no levels, no stat bonuses, no freebies. If he wants anything, he has to win it from the random box. At least there's a beginner bonus. Log in for 7 days straight, and you get a guaranteed SR item. Since it's his first time, Lagan tosses him 100 tickets, plus 5 more for entering Phantom. Ryuki cheers like a man who's just been told rent is free this month. Let's go. I'm opening everything. He cracks open the first box, looks at the item, and smirks at the skeletons. Alright, now it's my turn. And then he pulls out a used toilet mop. Yeah, that lasted about 3 seconds. The mop breaks, he screams, and starts running again, yelling at Lagan about how cursed his luck is. The second box gives him a wig, which he immediately throws at the skeleton in pure frustration. The battlefield now looks like a yard sale. Trash everywhere, skeletons chasing him, chaos unfolding. Lagan yells for him to watch out, but too late. Ryuki trips and faceplants straight into the dirt. The little robot, now somehow wearing the wig, zips over swinging a sword like a madman. Then one of the unopened boxes nearby starts glowing. Ryoki cracks it open and pulls out short sword. Not great, but better than the mop. He grins. Finally, a real weapon. He charges the nearest skeleton, yelling, "It's just level 1. How hard can it be?" Turns out pretty hard. He swings at its head, but instead of killing it, he gets stabbed in the shoulder. The sword does nothing. Ryoki screams, realizing that instead of losing HP, he actually feels pain. Why does it hurt? Lagan calmly explains that he's not bound by the usual game rules. He doesn't have HP. This is real. He's fighting for his actual life. The skeleton raises its weapon again. Ryoki's cornered, desperate, but then 2 random boxes drop from the sky. He blocks the next attack. Both boxes burst open, and something insane happens. His body moves on its own, lightning fast. He parries, slashes, and sends the skeleton flying into dust. He freezes. Did I just use a skill? Lagan confirms it. He just received 2 S-rank skills, 1 for defense and 1 for sword mastery. Lagan laughs and tells him he's the only one not limited by Yggdrasil's rules. Every item or skill that drops from a box immediately becomes his. Ryoki stares at his new blade, still bleeding, still panting, but finally smiling. For the first time ever, the world of the gods just handed him a real shot. Another skeleton lunges at Ryoki from the side, but before it even touches him, his SR-ranked parry kicks in. 1 clean deflection, and the thing freezes mid-swing. Ryoki grins, steps in, and slices it in half. Who was it again that said you can't cut skeletons with a sword? Oh yeah, that was me. 3 minutes ago. Idiot. That flawless move was thanks to his SR sword mastery. Ryoki's finally starting to get it. Skills like this aren't supposed to exist in Phantom. But because of his weird connection with Idril, he's bending the rules of the game like it's nothing. Lagan chuckles. I knew the kid was lucky. No wonder he pulled a UR item. Ryoki glances behind him and spots a shining SR box on the ground. Jackpot. He jogs over, smiling suspiciously. Something's off here, he mutters. But nah, luck's officially on his side. Before he can open it, 3 more skeletons rush him. Big mistake. Ryoki spins, slashing through all 3 in 1 move, holding the box in his hand like a trophy. If the game's gonna bless me with this kind of luck, I'm gonna milk it dry. The world of Phantom isn't just any VR game. It's an absolute masterpiece from the company Lashia, the most popular title in the entire Labyrinth network. And Ryoki? He's now one of the chosen few farming skeletons nonstop like his life depends on it. Actually, it does. Every skeleton he kills turns directly into roulette points instead of XP. He's got no level, no stat screen, just pure grind. From his calculations, it takes 15 skeletons to get 1 pull of the box system. That's brutal, but worth it. Now, time to check out the SSR item he pulled earlier. It's insane, way beyond anything that should exist here. Lagan just shrugs. If it's in front of you, then it's real. Ryoki nods, saying he'll seal it for now. That one's for them. Their whole guild's gonna regret existing. The upgrade system runs on roulette points too. Easy enough. All he has to do is keep killing monsters and racking up points. That's his kind of gameplay. Just grind, no brainpower required. 3 days later, the forest explodes in the distance, and another skeleton drops, leaving a glowing crystal behind. Ryoki picks it up, satisfied. It's his 3rd day in Phantom, and he's been grinding from sunrise to sunset. Finally, he's got 1,500 points, enough for 10 pulls. That's better than Genshin, he laughs. 3 days of farming for 10 spins. Not bad. Lagan's practically vibrating with excitement. Let's go. I can't wait to see what you pull. But Ryoki uses 1,400 points to level up his 2 SR skills instead. The robot nearly explodes. You maniac. Try your luck. It's way more fun. Ryoki asks about the drop rates. The system answers, 70% for N rank, 27% for R, 2.7% for SR, and 0.3% for SSR. He glances at his inventory and groans. Why is it full of trash? Lagan deadpants, stop whining. You've already pulled great stuff. Ryoki shrugs. From now on, I'm only opening boxes from daily mission rewards. The rest of my points go to upgrades. Lagan sighs. Fine. But seriously, how long are you planning to stay in the tutorial forest? Ryoki smirks. As long as it takes. He's a cautious player. He knows Phantom better than anyone and plans to use every ounce of that knowledge. The starting forest might look boring, but once you leave, there's no coming back. So he's milking every last drop of advantage out of it. He tells Lagan he needs to train, test the system's limits, and see what he can do without stats. After 7 long days of grinding, his SR skills are both level 3. Sadly, that's the cap. No more upgrades. Tutorial limit reached. Lagan pats his cheek. Time to claim your 7-day login reward. It's a guaranteed SR, but SR items can still be total garbage. Ryoki crosses his fingers. Alright, let's roll. The golden box hits the ground, glowing brighter and brighter until it bursts open. Ryoki stares at the weapon inside, speechless. Wait, that's real. It's an SR-ranked sword, but with a revolver built into it. A gunblade. Efficient. Deadly. Completely illegal in Phantom's lore. If anyone saw this, the world would lose its mind. He tests it with a light slash at a nearby tree, and the trunk splits cleanly in two like butter. Even with sword mastery, that kind of power is ridiculous. Ryuki laughs. Yeah, this is broken. Then reality hits him. When he entered Phantom, he was on the verge of death. Hey Lagan, what happens if I die here? Lagan replies calmly. You'll get backed up and resurrected. But reconstruction hurts like hell. Ryuki smirks. Pain's fine. Just makes it real. He cracks his knuckles and grins. All right, Lagan. Let's use those tickets. Our boy knew he needed more power. Just a little more, and maybe he could stand a chance. Fast forward a bit, and he's now rocking a full rank or set. Not exactly endgame gear, but hey, better than fighting naked. He tells Lagan to start recording everything. From now on, not a single moment of his glorious gameplay shall be lost. The robot asks what to name the file, and Ryuki, being dramatic as always, says, call it. The disc that backed away, but escaped from the abyss. Lagan just nods, totally used to his nonsense, and asks why they're recording in the first place. Ryuki explains that most games made by Roger Corp were kinda held together by duct tape. Even this one, their so-called masterpiece, still had bugs. Like the one standing right in front of him, a massive night boss that wasn't even supposed to spawn this early. The system announces it as the Black Knight of Chaos, blessed by the God of Darkness. And with that, a side mission pops up. Eliminate him for 10 tickets and 1 guaranteed S-rank pull. Free loot. Say less. Ryuki tightens his grip on the sword. The knight roars, prove yourself, and slams his blade down like a meteor. But Ryuki, with that overpowered sword and level 3 parry skill, deflects it right back. His plan's working. He knows without levels, his strength depends entirely on skill mastery. He launches a counterattack and lands a solid hit on the chest, but nothing. No damage. Lagan congratulates him on making progress, but Ryuki's like, bro, did we watch the same fight? That's when it hits him, literally and metaphorically. He realizes this world plays by real physics now. No HP bars, no fancy UI. If he wants to win, he needs to fight like it's real life. He throws himself at the knight again, dodging another swing, sliding in close, and jamming the blade into a gap in the armor before firing a round straight through it. The knight screams as its arm drops to the ground. Ryuki finally gets it. He's breaking the rules, bending the world itself. But the celebration doesn't last. Out of nowhere, he gets blasted in the shoulder by some weird dark energy. Wait a second. The Black Knight isn't supposed to have ranged attacks. Ryuki looks up just in time to see the knight's arm glowing with black flame. Those who threaten the Lord, it growls, will taste the abyss. Ryuki dodges, but barely. He's realizing maybe this isn't the same tutorial version of a boss. Maybe this is the real deal. The one nobody's ever lived to fight twice. The battle's brutal. Every hit he blocks sends shockwaves through his body. One strike nails him right in the gut, and everything fades. Cut to Ryuki, slamming his hand on a table. It failed again, he shouts. He's not in the dungeon anymore. He's back in his old life. Back when he was just a data analyst for Guild Lindsay, the ones running the show. He argues with his superiors, saying his strategy was more efficient. But the higher-ups don't care, especially Linful, their golden boy. They remind him he's not a rank player, just an analyst. Someone replaceable. Back in his office, he vents his frustration. Those idiots keep following that useless plan just so Linful can keep his rank. But he forces himself to calm down. His mother's surgery comes first. Later, someone calls his name. He jumps. It's Cynthia, a fellow researcher. She brings him coffee, saying she heard his guides got rejected again. She offers help, all smiles, and he asks for access to some restricted data. She agrees, still smiling. Sometime later, Ryuki's at the hospital with his mom, assuring her everything's fine. Surgery scheduled, cost covered, all thanks to the guild. She hugs him, proud of how hard he's worked. For a moment, it actually feels like things are turning around. Cut to betrayal speedrun. He's being dragged out by Guild Lindsay security. They accuse him of leaking confidential data. He tries to explain, but the verdict's already made. They've got proof from Linful and, yeah, Cynthia. His heart sinks seeing her in Linful's arms, the same fake smile she used on him. Linful calls him pathetic, mocking his wannabe guides and saying trash like him doesn't belong in their ranks. Cynthia just looks away. Linful smirks and says, it's a shame, but your worthless life ends here. And with that, Ryuki loses everything. His name, rank, honor, and family. Capitalism, speedrun complete. Bro lost his wallet and his identity. Cut back to the dungeon. The Black Knight towers over him. Impressed he's still standing. Ryuki braces for the final blow. The monster raises its sword, dark energy swirling around it. This is the end, it growls. Ryuki looks up, breathing hard, thinking, is this really how it ends again? How different is this life from the one he already lost? Ryuki clenches his teeth, memories of his mother, and that snake Cynthia flashing through his mind. He swears he's going to make her pay. Both of them. No more mercy. No more hesitation. The Black Knight swings for his gut, but Ryuki parries clean, twists his sword, and launches forward. He grabs the knight's helmet, drives his blade straight through the visor, and for a split second sees Cynthia's smug face in the reflection. With a roar, he twists the blade deeper until the knight collapses. The creature explodes into pure, dark energy. For taking down a boss like that at such a low level, Ryoki gets showered in rewards. 15,000 experience, 10 tickets, and 1 guaranteed SR ticket. The knight's fading voice tells him to surpass oblivion and go beyond. Ryoki smirks. Didn't plan on stopping anyway. Cut to another scene. A blonde guy is watching the video of that exact fight. He asks when it was uploaded. The assistant says a few hours ago and offers to reach out to the player. The man waves it off. No need. I remember that face. Get the car ready and tell me where Linful is. That's when we learn who he really is. Gabriel Darius, the actual leader of Guild Lindsay. Turns out Linful was never the top dog he pretended to be. Meanwhile, Ryoki's video on IGTube is going viral. Everyone's losing their minds. Some can't believe someone actually beat the glitch tutorial boss. Others swear it has to be fake. After all, how does someone in Phantom have a sword gun hybrid? And those reflex skills look too clean. It's basically playing like a blockbuster action scene. People are pausing, analyzing, and replaying it in disbelief. Inside Guild Lindsay's headquarters, another analyst named Laguna studies the footage. She's one of the top analysts in the guild, but even she can't figure out how Ryoki beat that boss. This has to be a bug, she says. But a guy with glasses mutters, that face. It's him. Then Linful walks in, calm and smug as ever. What's this talk about, Ryoki? He asks. The man in the suit turns to him. That player is the same analyst you had kicked out 3 years ago. Linful scoffs. The world's full of nobodies with tragic backstories. Who cares? But the man presses. Did you see the video? Linful nods and claims it must be a bug. No one can kill that creature in the tutorial. The man frowns. You don't get it. That is Ryoki. And you know what that means. Linful slams his hand on the table. Stop talking about that bastard. We don't waste time on insects. Gabriel just watches him in silence. Someone else steps forward and asks what they should do next. Gabriel says they'll track Ryoki quietly. No need to rush. We'll learn everything about him. The question is how my brother plans to handle it. Cut back to Ryoki, still drenched in blood but standing tall. Igen reports that 87% of his systems have recovered. Ryoki groans in pain. Feels like my whole body's on fire. Igen replies, that's because it is. Multiple organs ruptured, several bone fractures. Ryoki laughs. Guess I'll get used to it. I'll be feeling it plenty of times anyway. They move forward until a massive structure rises in the distance. A dark tower that pierces the sky. The demonic tower. The heart of this world. The true endgame. But he's not ready yet. He needs to grind skills in the surrounding dungeons first. As they walk, Igen starts nagging again. Uploading that video was insane. Now half the world is coming after you. Ryoki shrugs. Let them. Most people think it's a bug anyway. And Lindsay's leader won't move without information. The more attention I get, the harder it'll be for them to act. Smart move. If everyone's watching, they can't touch him without the whole world noticing. On top of that, Ryoki has a trick up his sleeve. Thanks to his unique conversion system, he can disappear from this world whenever he wants. It's basically logging out, except he doesn't have a body in the real world. When he leaves, it's like existing in a void between dimensions. Igen tells him he's using the system in a clever way. Ryoki grins. Just wait till I make enough noise. Linful won't be able to resist. And that's when I'll strike. The system interrupts. Enough talking. Time to open your tickets. Ryoki has 20 pulls, 2 guaranteed SRs, and 15,000 points. Jackpot time. But he pauses. First, I need to find a city and save a revival point. Igen explains that only people summoned from other worlds need those. Ryoki's body already exists here. He activates the conversion system and reappears in the same shop where he died before. It's strange, like crossing between two realities. He looks around, confused. Wasn't I just dying? Igen replies, that's because you're too awesome to die. Before he can react, alarms blare. The same gangsters from before show up outside, camping like toxic players waiting for a respawn. Look who's back from the dead, one of them yells. Ryoki sighs. I do not have time for this. He smashes a window and bolts out the back. Igen tries to guide him through an escape route, but it leads to a dead end. Ryoki glares at him. You led me into a trap, you tin can. Igen insists. There's a reason for everything. Too late. The gangsters catch up and surround him. You think you can mess with us and walk away? Hand over what you stole from the machine, and maybe we'll let you live. Ryoki's not giving up the robot. Igen tells him to grab the nearest weapon, which happens to be a wooden sword. Ryoki looks down and groans. You gotta be kidding me. The thugs burst out laughing. You're gonna fight us with that? One guy in a tracksuit steps forward. Give up, kid. It'll hurt less. Ryoki doesn't answer. He swings once. Crack. The guy's arm snaps. Another swing. Smack. Right across the face. The gangsters freeze in shock. Ryoki keeps his stance. Guess it wasn't such a bad weapon after all. The boss screams, get him. Even some random office guy joins in, holding a pipe like it's his first day as a thug. Ryoki grins. Now this is insane. Even in the real world, Ryoki still has access to his in-game powers. He has no clue why it works, but he's not complaining. It's completely broken. When he smacked that thug earlier, everyone froze. They swear they saw a strange glow. The boss grits his teeth, barking orders for everyone to rush him. No way they're losing to one random kid. He figures Ryoki must have pulled some insane item to fight like that. But they've messed with the wrong person. These guys are part of the Black Snake, the gang that rules the unknown territory. Their confidence lasts about 5 seconds. Then Ryoki moves, and the boss's smirk vanishes. One blink later, every single thug is down. Only one bald dude is left standing, and Ryoki cracks him over the head. Is that really all you little thugs can do? That's when he realizes what's happening. Most people project their mind into the game while their body stays here. Ryoki's the opposite. He sent his real body into the game. That's why the pain hits so hard. But it also means every stat he raises there boosts him in real life too. Totally unbalanced. Before he can think, more thugs show up out of nowhere. They charge. But come on. Against someone who's basically an SSR character, they're doomed. One light tap to the arm or leg and bones snap like twigs. Ryoki walks straight up to their leader, thanking him for yesterday's help. The guy's panicking, swinging his stick in every direction. Ryoki blocks with a level 3 parry, disarms him, and asks calmly, "You done already?" The boss dives for his stick, shouting for him to shut up. But Ryoki cracks him across the hand. The guy screams, swings again in desperation, and gets clubbed right in the mouth. Down he goes like trash on collection day. Ryoki stands over him, breathing hard, and mutters, "Now I get it. This is how they felt when they stomped on me." He grins. "But I gotta say, that busted up face looks better on you." The leader starts begging for mercy, crying for him to stop. Ryoki doesn't care. "That card you stole was my last hope. You took everything from me. So now, you're losing everything too." The guy tries to talk big, saying no one messes with the black snake and gets away with it. Ryoki raises his club. Good thing no one's gonna hear what happened here. Before he can strike, his eyes flicker. The scene cuts. The boss collapses, unconscious but alive. I was ready to say, "Oh, he's a killer MC now," but no. Igen, the robot, asks why he spared them. Ryoki shrugs. "Because of what you did." Turns out, Igen hacked their minds and erased their memories of him. As far as they know, Ryoki doesn't even exist. "Fine," Ryoki says. "You're off the hook. But next time I want results. No more sparing." Now they got a problem. Igen can't be discovered. An AI like him would attract way too much attention. Ryoki grabs a small knife nearby, and suddenly the aura around him activates again. Any blade-shaped weapon works with his ability. Way more convenient than lugging around a giant sword. He's about to ask something, but Igen cuts him off mid-thought. "No, your body will age faster in this world. Your true existence is inside Ectorsil now." Ryoki groans. Great. Overpowered, but with a side of mortality. Later, Ryoki's talking to one of the gangsters he spared. He laughs about how people in this modern world recover fast. Then he gets serious. "Hand over the ticket. Now." The guy stammers, saying he needs more time. Ryoki presses the knife against his forehead. "You're alive because I let you be. Don't make me regret that." The guy apologizes, and Ryoki tells him to walk. They're gonna get the ticket right now. They head into the red light district. Some junkie's scratching his neck like he's infected with something demonic. A thug kicks him aside and tells him to scram. The place is called Shuenku, the hub for illegal trades. The gangster admits most deals go through here. Ryoki narrows his eyes. "So this is where my ticket got sold." He steps inside. The air shifts. A cloaked figure behind the counter notices him and speaks in a raspy, almost ancient voice. Ryoki tilts his head. "You the owner?" And that's where things start getting real interesting. Ryoki squints at the figure behind the counter. He cannot tell if it's a man or not. It looks like a person, but moves like code. The shopkeeper introduces himself as Suzuki. Igen, visible only to Ryoki in his digital overlay, blurts out that this thing is not human. It is analyzing Ryoki's data in real time. Ryoki already noticed the weird vibe and mutters that cybernetic bots like that should have been outlawed ages ago. Suzuki chuckles and says it is impressive that Ryoki picked up on that so quickly, but laws do not apply in a black market. That line gets a sideways grin from Ryoki. Ryoki asks about the account creation ticket. Suzuki glances at the groaning thug Ryoki dragged in and already guesses what happened. Those tickets are hot commodity. If one showed up here, it sold in seconds. Ryoki nods and pulls a bag from his jacket. He's here to trade. Suzuki perks up and asks to see the haul. Inside the bag are the mana orbs Ryoki farmed in the dungeon. Suzuki's eyes flash. He names prices like a calculator on steroids and asks if Ryoki even realizes the value of each orb. Ryoki bristles at the implication that he's clueless just because he's an unknown. He used to be a guild strategist. He knows market value and margins better than most. Suzuki talks shop and explains the economy. Normal items like swords and shields, and then special consumables like potions and mana orbs. Higher grade means pure essence and bigger power. Selling a high-grade mana orb on the black market is odd since the official market already sets prices. Why bring it here? Ryoki tells him to stop philosophizing and make an offer. That's what he came to do. Suzuki finds it suspicious. Unknowns do not have access to rare mana stones. He orders his assistant Luga to clear the shop just in case. The thug balks, but Ryoki waves him off, and the assistant vanishes like he was never there. The door slams, and Suzuki confesses he's genuinely surprised. The star from the viral video just walked into his store. Suzuki spreads his arms and welcomes him like a carnival barker. He calls him Ryu 77 and jokes that if he wanted to hide, he should have been more careful bringing a mana stone to a shady stall. Anyone scanning the drops would see the orb's provenance. This shard, it drops only from the Black Chaos Knight. The app marks it. Ryoki admits he is who the video shows and wants to keep business fast and clean. Suzuki asks what he's looking for. Ryoki points to his head and says he wants a mod. Suzuki laughs like Ryoki is joking. Mods have been outlawed after catastrophic failures. Most were banned, patched, or simply deleted. Only a few rotten black market vendors hoard the illegal ones. Ryoki is not picky. He wants mods that reduce game difficulty. Side effects do not matter. Suzuki points to the man outside, scratching his neck like a walking horror story, and says that is why mods are illegal. The guy used a pain-dulling mod and fried his brain. Instead of fixing pain, it amplified every other sense until he snapped. Removing the mod did not reverse the damage. Some mods cause insanity, organ failure, instant death, or spontaneous combustion. That is why the market bans them, and why people fear them. Ryoki shrugs. He is not a casual player. Beating the Chaos Knight proves something. People already call him a cheater or a glitch abuser. He does not care about reputation right now. If dangerous mods exist in this shop, he wants them. Suzuki narrows his eyes and asks if Ryoki wants the forbidden stuff discarded for being lethal. Ryoki answers yes. He wants to see it. Suzuki reaches under the counter and pulls out a small lock case. The shop goes quiet like everyone in the district is holding their breath. Suzuki says these are relic mods, unstable, and illegal everywhere. Ryoki looks calm. He has nothing left to lose and everything to gain. The kid snaps his fingers and says fine. If that's how it is, he'll take a look at the discontinued mods. If he's got the guts to use something that old, he can start testing right away. Inside the box are CDs, actual discs, for version 1 all the way to 25. Who in their right mind installs something from a CD straight into their head? That's insane. But Ryoki stands there thinking it through. He knows it's dangerous, but he's got his reasons. The first mod is called Triple Power Attack. Igen immediately says it's garbage. Just exaggerated numbers with zero real effect. Next is a device that supposedly lets you see 1 second into the future. Igen checks it and says it'll only make his vision blurry. Total junk. Then there's one that improves appearance. Igen points out it's just an illusion mod. Flashy but useless. The next one claims to increase all skill damage by 20%, but at the cost of frying your brain. Oh, and it would multiply the pain you feel by 3,000 times. Yeah, definitely not worth it. Ryoki's about to give up on the pile until he spots one that catches his attention. A probability manipulator. Igen analyzes it carefully and admits the person who made it was a genius. It's not very strong, but it boosts luck by about 0.3 to 0.5%. For Ryoki, that can mean up to 1 full percent. And when it comes to luck, 1% is huge. He turns to Suzuki and says he'll take 3 mods, including that one. Suzuki raises an eyebrow, impressed. Looks like the kid isn't just all talk. He actually picked a few decent ones out of that junk pile. Ryoki finds it odd though. Why offer trash in the first place? Suzuki quickly apologizes, explaining that another client asked him to check those mods, and he'd already tested a few. Ryoki asks if that client was the original creator. Suzuki smirks and says they'll find out soon enough. Besides, he'll give Ryoki a discount since those mods were never meant to see the light of day anyway. A warning message pops up asking if he wants to install the applications. It says once he confirms, there's no going back. Ryoki's already made up his mind, but before he hits yes, Suzuki asks one last question. If these mods actually work, what does he plan to do with that power? The scene cuts away without an answer. Later, we see Suzuki laughing like a maniac on the floor, while Ryoki points upward. He says he wants to reach the skies. He's not aiming for bronze, silver, gold, or even platinum. He wants to crush everyone standing in his way and climb to the very top of the world. The crazy shopkeeper bursts into another laugh, saying he can't wait to see what the kid becomes. Sometime later, Ryoki's back inside the game, holding his identification card in Phantom. He figured people might suspect him since he's an unknown, but no one says a word. After all, unknowns aren't even supposed to exist in the game. Finally, he's made it to the starting village. It's peaceful. The old man's still overcharging for apples, kids are running around laughing, and everything looks weirdly normal. Ryoki can't help but take it in. That's when Igen pops up out of nowhere, yelling that it's time to start pulling tickets. It's been forever since they've done a gotcha spin. Ryoki tells him to relax before they attract attention, but then he notices some NPCs glaring at him. He knows this look. NPCs were never programmed to like players. And honestly, it's no surprise. Players treat them like trash. It's a never-ending cycle. A sudden crash breaks the silence. A guy in a blue jacket gets slammed into the ground. Another man in a beanie steps forward, yelling at him for trying to steal. The thief says he's starving while Ryoki watches, confused. Then he notices the thief's clothes. They don't match the village's style at all. Igen explains that the guy's from another game in the labyrinth called Alien Space. That world was shut down 3 months ago, completely deleted. The only way people could survive was by migrating to another world. That's why so many are wearing strange clothes and struggling to survive. Adapting to a new world isn't easy. Igen adds that once a world is considered useless by Idril, it's wiped instantly. So Phantom could be next. Ryoki just smirks and says it's fine as long as he can destroy Linful and that damn guild. Lin C. Later, he finally finds an inn and gets a room to rest. But before he can relax, Igen starts up again, saying this is the perfect time to pull some tickets. The probability rates have changed. Lower odds for N in our ranks, slightly higher for SR and SSR. The SSR rate used to be 0.3%, but now it's up to 1%. Ryoki grins. The long-awaited moment has come. Time to spin the roulette. Igen's already hyped, saying he's got 40 tickets, 2 guaranteed SRs, and 15,000 points. Enough to open a ton of loot. Ryoki tells him to start with the 40 regular tickets. At first, his face stays blank as piles of useless and our items start stacking up in front of him. He drops to his knees, devastated that not even one good item dropped. Looks like that luck mod was a total scam. Igen teases him, saying he could open a toothbrush shop with all the junk he got. Ryoki grabs the annoying little robot, threatening to turn him into scrap metal. Igen's begging for mercy when suddenly, something shines above them. 3 beams of light descend from the sky, guaranteed drops. Instantly, Igen changes his tone, celebrating like they just won the lottery. Ryoki smirks and says he can always count on his partner after all. He manages to pull a flash step SR skill and an SSR intuition skill. The intuition ability boosts his instincts at level 1. At max level, it can supposedly let him grasp the essence of the world itself. Flash step's simple, quick movement, perfect for dodging attacks. Excited, Ryoki activates intuition to test it out. But nothing happens. No change at all. He checks the system and sees he needs 7,000 points to reach the next level. Way higher than normal skills, which only cost about 2,000 to reach level 3. Igen tells him not to waste points on something he doesn't understand. Better to keep the energy high and pull more. After all, gacha's way more fun when the luck kicks in. Obviously, Ryoki's not about to waste his points on gacha spins. He's putting them straight into his skills. Sword Mastery and Parry go up to level 4, Flash Step to level 2. That leaves him with 8,730 points. It costs 8,400 to take Sword Mastery to level 5. He sits there debating, but Igen's already yelling that he should go explore more, pull some tickets, have fun with the luck system. Ryoki ignores him completely and orders the system to max out Sword Mastery. The little bot practically short-circuits in disbelief as the system confirms the upgrade. Mastery hits the cap, and the system announces he can now rank it up. Just as he expected, hitting that limit was worth it. A golden light fills the room, and a glowing stone orb begins to form. Ryoki asks what it is, but Igen's too busy sulking on the floor, mourning the gacha rolls he just lost. The orb keeps descending until the system rewards him with an achievement for maxing out Mastery. He earns 10 new tickets, and the skill evolves into Igen's System Mastery, an SR plus skill that not only boosts his sword damage, but adds a blade aura on top. Ryoki's stunned. He's never even heard of SR plus skills before. This could be one of the strongest abilities in the entire continent. Arms wide open, he celebrates while the system whines in the background, asking how he, the system of luck, ended up paired with someone so cautious. His whole plan was to watch the glorious downfall of a greedy player. Ryoki just shrugs it off, already heading for the door. He tells the bot to stop crying and get moving. They're finally ready to begin. Igen asks what the plan is, and Ryoki grins. It's dungeon time. Not just to clear it, but to break the record. At the dungeon entrance, a burly guy with a massive axe rallies his party, reminding everyone to stay alert and not miss a single item. Suddenly, Ryoki strolls past like it's a morning walk. The guy calls out, asking where he thinks he's going without a team. Doesn't he know how dangerous this dungeon is? Ryoki tells him he knows exactly what he's doing. The party looks at each other, realizing this might just be some lunatic. The leader scoffs, saying no one has cleared this dungeon in 3 months. They call it the Witch's Hideout, and the goal is to beat Linfolk's record. Gunblade ready, aura blazing, Ryoki steps inside, determined to make history. Inside, the witch senses his presence. From her eerie aura, she mutters that the filthy intruder has once again defiled her sacred ground. She vows to personally tear him apart and offer him as a sacrifice. Her level? Just a row of question marks. That's never a good sign. As soon as Ryoki steps in, he earns 1 ticket. But the place is pitch black. There are torches on the walls, but somehow he still can't see a thing. Apparently, every time someone enters, the dungeon layout completely changes, making it impossible to map. Linfolk took 17 hours and 30 minutes to clear it. 17 hours. For the first dungeon. Might as well rent an apartment inside. Checking the rankings, Ryoki sees the second best time belongs to someone named AIA from the Gao clan. Only 8 minutes slower than Linfolk. Definitely a name to remember. He presses forward and looks up. A massive swarm of bats descends. Not just regular bats, but nightmare-sized ones that stack multiple debuffs. Even if they don't kill you right away, they'll make sure you suffer. But Ryoki's already smirking. He pulls out an item and says, "This is how you handle this place." He throws it, and it detonates with a burst of sound. Not light sound. Every bat in the swarm drops to the ground, screeching in pain. The poor things don't even stand a chance before his sword cuts through them like butter. He clears the farming zone in seconds. This place isn't that hard once you know the tricks, he says. But something doesn't add up. If it's this easy, why hasn't anyone cleared it in months? Igen doesn't get why that's weird, so Ryoki explains. This dungeon's supposed to be low difficulty. For players to struggle this much, something else has to be going on. They keep moving deeper, and Igen starts complaining that they've been walking in circles. He swears they passed the same spot a dozen times. Ryoki tells him to chill. He knows exactly what he's doing. He points out a stalactite on the left, one with a small cut. When that mark appears, it means the route has changed. You have to pass this path 32 times for it to trigger. Igin's stunned. How'd he figure that out? Trial and error? Ryoki just tells him to shut up so he can focus. But to keep the bot happy, he adds that in the past, before guides existed, people had to memorize every inch of these maps. As an analyst, he wrote countless strategy guides for dungeons, just like this. He's done this thousands of times. The robot laughs, saying his master must be insane to memorize every tiny difference in a place like this. Ryoki ignores him, pushing forward. He's been here longer than expected, but he still can't understand why no one cleared it in 3 months. Meanwhile, the witch cackles from her lair. She senses that he's escaped her traps before, but this time he'll fall into despair. The moment he steps on the death magic, it's over. And that's exactly what happens. A pulse of flame surges across the floor, wrapping around him. He freezes mid-step. Igin panics, asking what happened, and Ryoki says it felt like he was about to die instantly. He pulls out a strange doll from his inventory and tosses it forward. The flames burst again the moment it hits the ground. He recognizes it immediately. Instant death magic. Something that should only appear in high-tier areas, far beyond the first dungeon. Why was it here? Igin warns that if the dungeon's changing unpredictably, they should retreat immediately. But Ryoki doesn't answer. He's deep in thought, trying to figure out what the hell is really happening in this place. A trap this brutal right from the start was dangerous. Maybe it'd be better turn back. But when Ryoki looks behind him, he notices a strange path. For a moment, something inside tells him it'd be fine to go that way. He starts realizing that these gut feelings, and even spotting the trap at all, were all thanks to the intuition skill. Watching through her orb, the witch scoffs, saying this bastard is really lucky. He survived by a single second, but it was only a matter of time. In this endless labyrinth, he'd eventually die. Suddenly, Ryoki disappears from her sight. She's confused, casts another spell, and locates him again, but now he's in the central hall, miles away from where he was. Apparently, that rat managed to escape her illusion. Fine. The place is packed with traps anyway. He'll die soon enough. Except just 1 second later, poof, he disappears again. The witch slams the table in rage, screaming, "What the hell is this guy doing?" Our boy, meanwhile, is literally dancing around the very edges of the traps, dodging them like he's got developer mode turned on. The witch, panicking, decides to end it once and for all. She activates every trap in the dungeon at once. Blue flames flood the orb, and she grins. Finally got rid of that cursed intruder. But behind her, boom, something explodes. A calm voice says, the materials weren't great, but there were still things worth using. Igin's voice follows up, warning him to disable that skill before something breaks. The witch turns and sees them standing there like it's casual Tuesday. Igin scolds Ryoki, saying that skill of his is totally broken, and he can't just walk around using it. Naturally, the witch demands to know how the hell they even got there. Ryoki shrugs and says he's too lazy to explain, so he'll just make it quick. He knows very well who she is, the Witch of Solitude. No, Miss Surreal. Or better yet, Bug. The witch demands he answer how he escaped the traps. Ryoki says he almost lost his head. That whole path was filled with death waiting to happen. Igin stares at him, confused about why he's suddenly talking like a medieval poet. Turns out, a bit before that, Ryoki had been staring down the traps wondering if there was even a way to beat them. Maybe he should have just waited until the devs patched the bug. But then he remembered. He needed his name known across the world before his old guild came after him. Igin kept detecting multiple traps, and said it'd be smarter to retreat. Then half the room exploded, and Ryoki dove to the side like an action hero. Igin panicked, screaming that the guy had a death wish. But Ryoki just grinned, saying that skill he got was even better than expected. Back to the witch's chamber. Ryoki's explaining everything like he's giving a TED talk on how to ruin a boss's day. He shows off his intuition skill, saying that's how he got into the room. Igin admits it's powerful, but reminds him it's still a human-linked skill, so it'll eventually hit a limit. Ryoki readies his blade, saying that's fine. Right now, all that matters is survival. The system window showing the witch's name starts glitching. She screams his name and summons several instant death traps. Ryoki charges in. The first attack comes, and he ducks just in time. Without that intuition skill, he'd be toast. He starts realizing the witch herself was glitching, corrupted by the bug inside her. Whatever her pattern was, there wasn't time to study it. He had to strike now. Flash step active, sword aura blazing. He closes the distance. He mutters that she really is dangerous, but this is the end. One clean slash, neck gone. But then, her body keeps attacking anyway. Ryoki stumbles back. She's reforming. Now he's sure. She's the cause of everything wrong in this dungeon. And the worst part, normal attacks do nothing. She fires another barrage of spells, and Ryoki barely dodges. His intuition skill is maxed, or he'd already be dead. In between dodges, he yells to Igin, asking for ideas. Igin activates the analysis system, and the window pops up. Witch of Solitude, level 25 bug. Infinite regeneration. Instant death active. On her back, Ryoki notices a strange wing with the word death written across it. Weirdly colored, unstable. He analyzes it separately and realizes it's an item from the game Beyond Space. The same one those abandoned players came from. Now it all makes sense. That's what caused this bug. Ryoki keeps dodging while Igin records everything, muttering that his master's insane. In a fight where one touch means instant death, the kid's smiling like it's a festival. Ryoki shouts, on the path to the pinnacle of humanity, No fire can stop me. Bro thinks he's giving a motivational speech mid-battle. The witch charges a massive orb, screaming that this time, he'll die for sure. Ryuki smirks, saying, if a single touch means death, then just don't get touched. The orb detonates, flooding the entire hall in light. She laughs, certain he's dead. But Ryuki's already behind her, sword drawn. He says this wasn't her original power. That's why she couldn't control it properly. The moment he touches it, the item starts breaking apart, glitching. It's definitely a bug. The witch begs him not to destroy it. Those wings gave her freedom. She says she'd been stuck here forever, playing her role on repeat until those wings freed her from the spell. Ryuki listens, saying that if she escaped her fate, they were similar in a way. He's also trying to break free from his miserable world. The witch says that if they're the same, they should understand each other. But our boy just grips his blade tighter. To reach glory, he says, your freedom has to be destroyed. With that, he rips her wings apart, activating his sword aura to crush the second one. The witch screams, the dungeon trembles, and the corrupted boss finally collapses. At that same moment, all of the witch's stats go back to normal. She becomes the creature she was supposed to be in the first place. The poor thing even goes back to her scripted lines, declaring that an intruder has infiltrated her hideout. She's there doing her little villain monologue, and Ryuki just stabs her straight through the chest. Yeah, no hesitation. And to make sure it sticks, he pulls the blade sideways, slicing her clean in half. He says that now that she's back to normal, it changes nothing. He has to finish her off to move forward. The monster's hand hits the ground, and that's it. No mercy. The system rewards him with 13 standard tickets, 1 SR ticket, 500 experience points, a magic stone, and Serial's heart. Ryuki's reaction? Disappointed. Just a stone, a heart, and 500 points? Man, that knight who dropped 15,000 must have been an anomaly. Igen tells him not to get spoiled. Even with luck, you're not always going to pull good drops. Welcome to normal life. Ryuki says it's fine. That single SR ticket alone made it worth it. Plus, the only thing that really matters is breaking Linful's record. Meanwhile, back at the dungeon entrance, the guy with the giant axe is losing it. His team failed again. They're all yelling at each other, throwing blame left and right. You died too early. No, you used the wrong skill. It's chaos. While they're busy fighting, Ryuki walks out of the cave. The group sees him and immediately starts whispering. Wait, that guy was inside for 7 hours. He must have been hiding the whole time. They laugh, assuming he gave up. But then, a notification pops up. Updated dungeon record. Witch's hideout cleared in 7 hours flat. 10 hours faster than Linful. The group just freezes. Hold on, is that the same guy that just walked out? One of them pulls his sword and puts it against Ryuki's neck, demanding to know what trick he used. No one can cut 10 hours off without cheating. Ryuki keeps it real. He just says, there was a bug, and I exploited it. That's it. The problem with honesty is that nobody doubts it. The issue is they now think he's a shameless cheater. They start booing him, saying he should be ashamed for clearing a dungeon using a bug. But Ryuki doesn't care. He just keeps walking, saying the bug's gone now. Better start farming, or you'll stay weak forever. The sword guy charges at him, but Ryuki barely even looks back. Maybe he punches him, maybe he elbows him, maybe he just flicks him. Whatever he did, the dude ends up face down in the dirt. He swears revenge, screaming that he'll kill him someday. But the axe leader stops him, saying, don't be stupid. We can't beat that guy. The group finally puts it together. If he really used the bug and still cleared it, that means his level's way beyond this dungeon. The boss squints, try to remember where he's seen that face before. Something about it feels familiar. Then it clicks, the video from the chaos-made incident. But he can't quite connect the dots yet. We jump to a montage. White Lake, Red Spider Forest, and the ruins of the ancient gods. All famous dungeons where Linful's team holds the record. Ryuki's eyes narrow. There's one more dungeon left, but 3 records are enough to start with. Igen asks why he's stopping at 3, and Ryuki explains that another guild took one of the records about 2 years ago. The one led by a skilled girl from the ASA division of the AZ Guild. He chuckles, saying, huh, so it's a lady, huh? But wait, where are all the proper waifus in this story? Come on, artist, you're wasting your talent. Wanting to lend you a compass so you can draw some curves. But jokes aside, Ryuki's not worried about waifus. He's focused. That girl's record was dangerously close to Linful's, and that annoys him because he was the one who came up with those strategies in the first place. Then he notices her white hair. Hold on, could that be Cynthia Meji? That damn woman. Yeah, she deserves payback. He gets up, saying enough talk. Time to handle some dungeons. Meanwhile, inside the Demon Tower, Linful's squad is clearing another floor under Kasano's orders. That's when Linful's system pings. Notifications start flooding in. Photos of a giant octopus boss at White Lake, a spider corpse in the Red Forest, and a broken golem. All of them freshly defeated. He immediately tells his team to handle the loot because something's up. Linful sits back on the couch, staring at the report. Someone's out there deliberately breaking every one of his records. This kid's picking a fight. Maybe he thinks he's hot stuff. The boss mentioned the name, Ryuki, but Linful can't place it. He doesn't remember ever meeting him. That's rough. Man's getting disrespected by someone he can't even recall. Suddenly, someone bursts through the door shouting, Linful. That kid Ryuki is live streaming. Analyst Laguna is already watching it, breaking everything down. Ryuki's posted all his records, from the bug dungeon to Yukiparan, Verani, and the big golem. For dungeons cleared, for records broken. In just 3 days, he's hit nearly 2 million views. The internet's going crazy. Some say it's a bug. Some say it's cheating, but nobody can deny it. The kid cleared everything and owns the records. Laguna can't figure it out. His strategies are too refined. To pull this off, he'd need an elite analyst team behind him. What guild is backing him up? Poor girl. She has no clue. There is no guild. This man's solo leveling for real. Ryuki, on the other hand, is scrolling through his phone, calm as ever. They're all busy watching those videos, he says. But compared to what I'm about to drop, that's nothing. He smirks. This time, I'm not just making noise. I'm declaring war. The robot warns him to think it through. Maybe train a bit before picking fights. Everyone still sees him as a rookie. But Ryuki leans back, grinning. Then it's about time I show them what noob can do. Ryuki knows Igen is right, but he can't stop now. He needs answers. And until he gets them, he's not slowing down. His mind has been stuck 3 years in the past, trapped between despair and hatred. Those feelings are the only reason he's still moving. He starts a live stream, introducing himself as Ryu77, broadcasting straight from inside the game labyrinth. He says this time isn't about clearing a dungeon. This time, he's going to reveal the truth everyone's been waiting for. At first, people think he seems surprisingly normal. Then he starts talking. He explains that everyone's been curious about the unknown label on his profile. Turns out, that's exactly what he is. Unknown in the literal sense. He never created an account, was never chosen by any guild, and still managed to enter the game. He admits it sounds impossible, but that's the truth. He's one of the poorest unknowns out there, without even a chance to compete. When people ask how he's playing, he keeps it simple. He got lucky. He doesn't care if no one believes him, because that's the truth. Watching the stream, Linful gets pissed. He says the guy's lying, pretending to be an unknown. Then Ryuki drops the real bomb. He became an unknown because he was falsely accused. He says he knows Linful and the Linsa Guild are watching and reminds them of the face they threw into the abyss. He suffered down there, but he survived. Now, it's their turn. In another room filled with floating cards, a man in a hat watches the stream. He says an enemy of Linsa has finally appeared. Carde says the views are insane, and Carby adds that now the kid's definitely going to be hunted. The man figures if this really came from Linful's mess, then Gabriel has already erased the evidence. Carde says Linful's crew looks promising, so they'll keep an eye on them. Carby disagrees, calling the team pathetic. The man asks what they'll do about Ryu77, but both cards shrug it off. They have bigger problems. The man says fine, he'll watch and maybe act on his own. The cards disappear, expecting exactly that, and say goodbye. The man smirks and says he'll follow whatever path looks more interesting. At Linsa Guild headquarters, Gabriel is surrounded by reporters. They all want to know about this Ryuki and his connection to the guild. Gabriel admits the boy used to be part of their team, but says he was expelled after an internal accident and that there's no longer any connection. A reporter pushes back, saying Ryuki claims he was falsely accused. Gabriel denies it outright, calling it a lie. The questions keep coming. Rumors of manipulation, collusion with the developers, abuse of influence to change dungeon rules, and item drops. Gabriel brushes it all off, saying they're just false accusations meant to damage the guild's name. He claims they've already collected proof to set things straight, and that everything will go back to normal soon. While Gabriel's giving his polished speech, someone else is watching from small shop. Ryuki walks in, and Suzuki greets him, saying the whole world's talking about him. Ryuki says he doesn't care. What he does want to know is why the man uses an old guy's voice in such a young girl's body. Suzuki laughs, and says that's the best part of having a fully prosthetic body. Turns out, the only woman who looks even remotely put together in this story is actually an old man in a robot shell. Ryuki ignores the weirdness and asks to see the mods. Suzuki shows him the usual junk, and Ryuki immediately shuts it down, saying he's tired of garbage. He wants to meet the person who actually makes the good stuff. Suzuki nods, understanding what he means. He reaches under his kimono and pulls out a CD. He explains that he was told to give this to anyone who ever came looking for the mod creator. If they manage to find the person using the data on it, they'll earn the chance to meet him. Ryuki figures that anyone who set this up must be strong. Igen scans the CD and says it's a visual mod that hooks into his visual system and gathers data. It's a more advanced version than before, which also means it's a lot riskier. Ryuki says he doesn't care about that. What really bothers him is feeling like he's being tested. So, he takes off his backpack and tells Suzuki he brought a little gift. Everything he's been hunting for the past few days. All the loot from his record-breaking runs. He drops the pile on the floor and tells her sell all. She told him she'd be well compensated, then tossed the reward onto the floor like it meant nothing. Cool move. Walking through the city streets, Ryuki notices dungeon loot videos popping up on YouTube and actually making some cash. Igen tells him to take advantage of the hype and roll some gacha, maybe gamble a little. But Ryuki refuses. There's one more person he needs to meet. Someone waves him down. A guy with a perfect K-pop haircut calls his name and says it's been a while. Ryuki turns and realizes it's Gnome, an old school friend. Even Igen is shocked, wondering how this loner actually has a friend in real life. Ryuki glances at the man's hand and instantly remembers. Yggdrasil. The clothes, the look, no doubt about it. The guy asks to talk for a bit. Ryuki's jaw tightens, his veins showing green through his hands. He says sure, they can talk. The tension is already thick. They start walking. The guy says it's good to see him calm, but behind his back, he signals something. A dozen men are already setting up, guns ready on the rooftops. The guy keeps talking fake sweet, saying he missed his old friend, barely recognized him. Ryuki, quietly, says it feels like there are a lot of eyes on them. Next scene, they're in a cafe instead of a battlefield. The guy apologizes for everything that happened 3 years ago. Ryuki doesn't let him off easy. He asks if he really thinks an apology changes anything. The guy freezes. Ryuki asks if he was called here just to hear sorry. The guy says no. He's got a plan to get Ryuki reinstated in a bronze rank. Ryuki doubts it's even possible. The man starts explaining, and we jump into a flashback. Ryuki, back then, is begging Garcia for help. His mother's surgery is in a week. He's on the ground, clutching Garcia's cards, begging him to lend the money. Garcia kicks him and tells him not to touch him with his filthy hands. Cruel. No wonder our boy turned cold. Later, Ryuki stands over his mother's body. A voice says maybe it was for the best. He never could have paid for it anyway. For someone unknown like him, even surviving was impossible. That moment burned the hope out of him. Back in the present, Ryuki tells Garcia to stop acting. He snaps his fingers, revealing that Garcia was a developer for Space Alien, the game that went bankrupt. He looks at the man and asks what kind of help a failure like that could offer. Ryuki stands to leave. Garcia panics and says if he walks away, he'll send all his information to Linsa. He warns him that he knows what that guild does to people, and Ryuki should too. But Ryuki doesn't even flinch. What's left for them to take? He has no family, no one left to hurt. Flashback again, back when Ryuki first gave the tutorial guide to Gabriel. Linfel wasn't top dog then, his older brother was. He praised Ryuki's work, and said for a beginner, it was impressive. From then on, they monitored everything he released. Back to the cafe. Garcia flashes a card and reminds Ryuki just how dangerous that man was, telling him to think carefully. Ryuki's face changes. Garcia smirks, thinking they're finally going to negotiate. Ryuki grabs the paper from his hand and tells him to shut up. Garcia pulls a knife, shouting that Ryuki's forgotten how to behave. He lunges, but Ryuki's already got him by the throat. He tells him the only one who forgot how to stay alive is him. Then he slams him into the wall hard enough to crack it. Killing him would draw too much attention, so he drops him and leaves, saying he'd better never see his face again. Garcia scrambles, gasping, and sends a message to his men. The target's escaping. Ryuki steps out of the store and immediately faces 36 Glocks pointed his way. They yell for him to surrender. The next second, one man's gun is ripped straight from his hands. Ryuki moves faster than the panels can even show, slipping out of the frames like a glitch. From a rooftop, the witch shouts at him to use flash step level 3. He vanishes. The thugs never stand a chance. Iga notes Ryuki's stress levels are spiking and asks what's wrong. Ryuki says it's nothing serious. At least now everything's clear. He knows exactly what comes next. First stop, the world of ghosts. Cut to Gabriel. He's furious with Garcia, saying that's how he repays trust. Garcia apologizes, saying he has new info. Ryuki is 25. Gabriel shuts him down immediately. That's useless. He warns Garcia not to say anything the guild doesn't already know. Garcia adds that Ryuki accessed the game using something he found in a random loot box. He just needs one more chance to dig deeper. Gabriel says they already know about the creation ticket from that area. It was auctioned off and confirmed. What he really wants to know is who's sponsoring Ryuki. Garcia insists no one in their right mind would back someone like him. Gabriel turns and says he wasted his time talking to a traitor who'd sell out a friend for spare change. Brutal. The same man who hired him now humiliates him for taking the job. The psychological hit is too much. Garcia pulls the knife again, but before he can move, Gabriel's already there. One strike and Garcia's down. Gabriel calls him insane for trying to attack a member of Linsa. Normally, he'd kill him, but instead he says he'll show mercy and let him live as an unknown. The guards drag Garcia away while he screams that he doesn't want to be turned into one. Too late. His fate's sealed. That dude with no self-control totally earned that demotion. Gabriel's just sitting there thinking. Sure, the guy was a decent analyst, but that was it. You can't even put him in the same league as Linfel. Still, there was always something weirdly special about that Ryuki kid. Time to dig into the secrets behind that mysterious account. Cut. That was the end of chapter 13. Like and subscribe to not miss the next part. Green apples.